that it's more about experimenting on yourself a lot of the time with this in regards to your diet, of course, right? Hello, my mindful foodies. It's Mike, your plant-based chef, yoga teacher, and culinary nutrition expert, here to give you mindful movement and plant-based nourishment to help you heal your body and soul. I want to talk to you today about gut health and how that can be affecting your mental health, especially during a time of crisis like this where our lives have been turned upside down. We're spending more time at home than we're maybe used to, maybe spending more time at home with family members than we're used to spending. And it's really just starting to get clear on how what you're eating can be affecting your mood beyond your digestion. I was 240 pounds at 13. I've gone through kind of throughout my life multiple roller coasters with my weight. And really in the last few years especially, I've gotten super interested in all of the fad diets and the things that kind of are all over social media, like intermittent fasting and keto and plant-based eating. And in high school, I was actually on a path towards going to University of Toronto for microbiology and immunology. So by no means am I a trained scientist, but I definitely can grasp some of the concepts a little bit more maybe than some people can, kind of wrap my brain around them and help to make them more understandable. And that's something that's really kind of blowing up in the last couple of years, is the science around gut health. And beyond that, how fasting can help to improve gut health, which I'll maybe talk about in another video. If you're interested in learning more about fasting, comment below and let me know what you'd like to hear about. But yeah, it's really the science is starting to show that what you're eating can have a direct impact, obviously, on what your gut is doing and your gut health, but the science even more is starting to show that connection between your gut health and your mental health, right? And the brain-gut connection is something that a lot of people are talking about. The vagus nerve that is transmitting information from the gut up to the brain and vice versa. Really, what we've learned in the last few years more than ever before is how it's not your brain as much that's running the show in your body, but your stomach has a big part in that. And what's happening in your digestive system is kind of happening a lot of the time independently of what your brain is doing. Your brain is kind of just checking in and getting feedback from the digestive system. The fact that there's so much new science coming out is really amazing, and what I really kind of preach to people is that it's more about experimenting on yourself a lot of the time with this in regards to your diet, of course, right? If you take something out of your diet for a little while and all of a sudden some of the symptoms you've been struggling with lighten or disappear, your skin gets better, your digestive system cleans up, you maybe have less brain fog, less tiredness, less irritability. If that happens whenever you remove certain things from your diet, like animal products and gluten and dairy and all of those other things, whenever you add those foods back in, if you start to see those symptoms return, you've just done an experiment on yourself, right? And what I've noticed a lot since I was more aware of how what I'm eating can be affecting my mental health is that when I'm eating all kinds of sugar and really processed, refined animal products, which doesn't happen very often, but we're all human. And when I let those things back into my diet, I definitely notice a massive impact on just my energy levels. And beyond that, really my ability to stay in a positive mindset. Yeah. So much of what is happening in your brain is related to neural inflammation, so inflammation of the brain. And it's really not disputed by science anymore how what you can be eating, your gut health, can be having a direct link to how much neuroinflammation you have. And neuroinflammation has been linked to things like anxiety and depression, along with a whole bunch of other chronic diseases. One of the biggest culprits of causing inflammation is refined sugars, sugar in general really, but especially those really white refined processed sugars, and of course processed animal products, right? So I am mostly plant-based is what I live by, so I do still sometimes eat some eggs or eat some grass-fed butter. I go out of my way to make sure I'm getting those animal products from places where the people that raise those animals cared about the animals. You really have to pay somebody in this day and age to care about the animals if you do choose to consume animal products. But I live a mostly vegan lifestyle most of the time, and vegan and plant-based, they're very similar. The difference I would say is with a plant-based diet, it's more of a focus on whole foods. Vegans are mostly all plant-based eaters. It's just that some of them don't have as much of a focus on the health of it, right? So French fries, Diet Coke, ketchup, those things can all be considered vegan, right? And they are, arguably not the healthiest foods to be putting into your body. just starting to get clear on what foods are you eating on a regular basis, especially during this time where we're maybe stuck at home a little bit more than we want to be. Are you filling yourself up with all of those comfort foods? Because I know from my own experience that comfort foods, while they might be amazing during the time that you're eating them, for those few seconds that they're in your mouth, and you're experiencing the taste and the flavors, I know I personally normally don't feel great after I eat comfort foods, right? Like if I'm eating the mac and cheese or the cookies or the ice cream, generally speaking, my digestive system gets thrown out of whack personally. And it's really the next day that I start to notice the inflammation. So I have osteoarthritis from some knee surgeries that I've had. And I noticed that I have a hard time getting out of bed after a lot of sugar the day before. It's almost like a hangover, right? And what is happening is sugar dehydrates you, sugar causes inflammation. You're essentially getting a hangover from a big dessert the night before, almost as bad, or if not worse in some cases, than if you'd had a couple of drinks the night before. Having a little bit more awareness around what foods it is that you're choosing to eat. And I get right now that we don't necessarily have as much choice as we normally would, maybe with what we're being able to get at the grocery store, but it's just whatever you can do to try to clean up the food that's going into your body so that you can help keep yourself in a mentally calm state. Up to 70% of your immune system is actually located in the lining of your gut, right? So that mucosal lining that covers the inside of your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, it's actually protecting you from a lot of these pathogens that might be then getting into your bloodstream and circulating through your system. So things like leaky gut, which have been pretty closely linked to excess sugar consumption and gluten consumption and animal product consumption. It's really something that is not just causing digestive upset, but it's making your whole body and your whole immune system more compromised and more susceptible to infection. So ultimately, what you're choosing to put into your mouth has a huge impact on your overall health, right? And you want to make choices that are going to help to bolster your immune system, like fresh fruits and veggies, and trying to avoid things that are going to compromise your immune system and jack up inflammation in your body. What's missing from the grocery store right now, right? Like eggs, meats, dairy, flour, bread products, crackers, and cookies and stuff like that, and toilet paper, right? Maybe the connection might be there, like we're shoving all of this food into our bodies and then we need all of this extra toilet paper. That might not be the actual connection, but just making it clear that what you're eating is affecting a lot more than just your digestion. I really wasn't sure what to include in this first video, and I just kind of am speaking from the heart. This is something that I'm experiencing. In my first few days that I was home, I definitely was defaulting towards, junk in my diet. For me, I've kind of evolved to a place where junk food is still almost always gluten-free, a lot of the time vegan, very rarely does it have refined sugar, but still there can be too much healthy brownies, right? You just want to be aware of how much of these things you're consuming. I'm not saying any food is terrible or horrible and you should never eat it again, but if you're eating foods all the time that are compromising your health, making you tired, making you irritable, start to be aware of that, and creating awareness is the first step to creating change in your diet, yeah? So if there's something you want me to talk about, if you've been to one of my workshops, that's a great place to start. What do you want me to cover in the next video? Please tell me in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. There will be more of this content coming out soon. Keep nourishing your body and soul, and have an amazing rest of your day.